Carin Andersen is the co-founder of the globally recognized post-diagnosis patient advocacy group, Aortic Hope. She's also the president of Think Aorta US. After surviving a type A and residual type B dissection in January 2015, she realized there was something missing from the community. Aortic Hope specializes in providing support to patients and caregivers during their recovery and management with aortic disease. Carin holds her BA in Speech Communications from Towson University and has over 30 years' experience in human resources. Please welcome Carin Andersen.
Well, I didn't think I'd be on a stage. It's very exciting. First of all, thank you so much, Rock from the Heart, members of Rock from the Heart, and Amy and Pete for inviting Aortic Hope to have an opportunity to come out and share with you a little information about our organization. So as mentioned, I am an aortic dissection survivor myself, not a club I thought I would ever be part of, not anything I'd ever heard of, other than a few times in the news with some celebrities who have had this incidents occur to them. But what happened to me was pretty straightforward as far as dissections are concerned, not as eventful as some other people's stories, but I think what's most important is what happened to me after I had my dissection. And that's what leads us to Aortic Hope. So what happened to me is I realized that when I was in my first clinic visit, my surgeon said to me, "I don't need to see you back now for 6 months, go live your life." I do not know what go live your life means when you still feel like you're half out of it. So what does go live your life mean? I didn't think I'd end up applying for disability and what an arduous task that was going to be. I didn't think I would be having nightmares, smelling things that didn't exist, hearing sounds that didn't exist, crying at a whim, worried every minute of every day that I was going to die if I sneezed or got a cold or walked too fast. I basically was living my life in the beginning on a transport chair, just assuming I would be relegated to a wheelchair because I didn't understand how any of this worked. And I realized early on that if I had met another survivor like me in clinic visit, maybe my recovery would have gone a little bit better, a little bit faster. If I had had some support from therapists, maybe things would have come to light about the PTSD I was enduring. So there was a lot that I realized that didn't exist in the community, and Aortic Hope was born. So I'm gonna try this technology. Let's see what I just hit the green button. Is that all I do? Hit the green button. Okay, here we go. So who is Aortic Hope? All of these individuals here are all of our board members, and every one of our board members have been touched by aortic disease. Excluding one person who is our treasurer, everybody has either an aneurysm or has had a dissection or both. So we are individuals who talk the talk and walk the walk in the community. So we're a 501c3 public charity, and as it's mentioned, we were founded by other survivors. And initially what happened is back in 2016, there was a gentleman from Sweden who, with some members of the United States, decided that September 19th would be Aortic Dissection Awareness Day. And I talked with my local hospital, and I thought, well, why don't we pull together some people in the community, let's all meet up. This was, of course, pre-COVID, when you would meet up together. And we did so, and I met another survivor who came from Pittsburgh. She had had a 7-centimeter aneurysm that she was able to have scheduled and have surgery on. And I met a third woman who was a provider, a caregiver to her husband at the time who had Marfan syndrome, and their eldest daughter who also had Marfan. So here it is, 3 women, one's a caregiver, one had an aneurysm, and myself who's a dissection survivor. And we decided to put together a Facebook page called Aortic Hope. And it was supposed to just be inspirational quotes. And very quickly, that changed. So some of the goals of Aortic Hope is to spread hope, to create awareness, and provide support. And we do that in a variety of ways. This is so fun looking at this from an angle. I don't have it in front of me to read. So yeah, so spreading hope is the cornerstone of what we're about. And we do that, initially we were doing all of that through Facebook, and we post a lot of inspirational quotes and a lot of stories that survivors share with us. We then started what was called a survivor series, and it has really, really grown. And people can submit to us their stories via a blog or via a video or even dare go live on our YouTube channel and share their stories of inspiration. And what we have found is other survivors hearing stories, it validates their experience, it validates them emotionally, it provides thought-provoking questions that they can take back to their own physicians when they hear the little subtle nuances in someone else's story. We also started off our first initiative with something called Hope Mail. I saw a member in the community that was having surgery fairly quickly into us becoming Aortic Hope, and so I knitted her a little heart-shaped pillow, and that turned into about 15 or 18 people wanting pillows. And real quickly, my hands were starting to hurt. So before we became a nonprofit, we did a GoFundMe, and we ordered some items, and Hope Mail was born. And what Hope Mail is it's free for the public. You can sign up, and once a year during your designated Aortiversary month, we send everybody a small token of acknowledgement that we're here for you, we see you, we hear you, and we're cheering you on. Okay. And there's an idea of what some of the Hope Mail care packages look like. Every year they're different. Every year we try to come up with some products and items that we think will be helpful during their journey of recovery of this disease and management of the disease. So that can be stress balls, it's journals, magnifying bookmarks, pill cases, just a variety of items that we think people will find exciting and interesting when they get their little package in the mail. And again, the Survivor Series, it's also told from the caregiver's perspective or the survivor's perspective. And interestingly enough, what we have found is there's also a very important place for individuals who are grieving the loss of a loved one as well. So we do share those stories too, because they're important to hear. We can all learn a lesson if there's been a misdiagnosis or an unfortunate repercussion to having an aortic dissection or some surgical experience. And we create awareness too. Most of our awareness is to help other individuals find us so they can start receiving the same support that, that most of you in the room are receiving from Aortic Hope now. But we do this by participating in a variety of things, whether it's a radio show, a television show, speaking engagements, speaking to the Rotary. We have gone to nursing schools. We've given our symptoms and wait to see if they can figure out what's wrong with us. So there's a variety of ways that we can create awareness within the community. And we provide support. And support changes day to day. It looks different every single day. It looks different for me every single day. It looks different for my board every single day. So when we provide support to others, we in ourselves are also receiving support. And we host live Q&A sessions. We used to do them on Facebook, now we're doing them through YouTube. So I have an opportunity to talk to different professionals, whether they're surgeons, whether they're attorneys, talking about the disability process and how hard that can be. And I give the public an opportunity to ask questions live and have them answered. We also have Ask a Doctor event, and that happens on Facebook, where doctors are present and they will take your questions live and put the answers right up on Facebook for you to see. I think one of the most interesting things that we do that sets us apart is we have twice a month support group meetings. So we offer support group meetings in a closed setting through Microsoft Teams. That's for our patients and our survivors. New for 22, we offer them for caregivers as well. Twice a month, private, for caregivers only. And we're also going to be implementing in March, having once a quarter for individuals that are grieving the loss of a loved one. Tableside patient advocacy cards, which they may be in your folders, are basically informational cards that can be set up in a doctor's office in the waiting room and also presented to the patients when they're in clinic. And this really helps the patients find out where they can start receiving support immediately. These things are distributed, by the way, by people that volunteer for us all across the country. They're called Hope Ambassadors. This talks a little bit about the Q&A sessions. Not only have I interviewed thoracic surgeons, cardiologists, attorneys and partners of disability law firms, I've also interviewed therapists who have explained in great detail EMDR therapy, which helps PTSD. I've also done a sound bath online with someone who is a massage therapist who specializes in grounding techniques, going through the 5 senses, listening to sound, smelling different smells, different ways to help ground us and reduce the stress that's in our life. And again, one of the cornerstones of our organization is providing these support group meetings. There's another organization that's called Aortic Bridge, and we have formed a nice afternoon group with them as well. So what we're finding is community collaboration works, having a partnership helps, and doing that in the forum of a support group is really, it's very special. We do have people that sit in and give presentations on occasion and have guests. But what is so special about these support group meetings is they are not being run by a therapist or a social worker. They're being run by survivors. And I think that that's appreciated greatly. And this is an example of what the patient advocacy cards look like. This was fun walking into a doctor's office and seeing it sitting there on the table. There's nothing better than knowing that other people out there that may not be on Facebook have an opportunity to hear about Aortic Hope and start receiving support. So on Facebook alone, we're at about over 4,000 people that are participating with Aortic Hope. This does not include how many people that we have not been able to capture statistically yet that we're finding following us on YouTube, but we are represented in, I believe, over 49 countries. And that goes over different ways that you can get in touch with us, which should be on those advocacy cards. And I do want to talk a little bit about another organization that I am president over and work with and collaborate, and that's Think Aorta US. So what we've realized in the community is there tends to be 3 different avenues that these organizations fall under. There are individuals that are pre-active, groups that are proactive, and groups that are reactive. And we consider Aortic Hope to be very reactive. We're the catcher's mitt. Once you've had your diagnosis, whether it's an aneurysm, whether it's a dissection, caregiver, or you've lost someone, we're the catcher's mitt that comes in and says, where are you? Where can we meet you with this? Because it tends to be like the tide. Some days are good, some days are not so good. And we kind of looked at 2022 and we said, how can we have a community collaboration? Well, Think Aorta was started in the UK and Ireland as a campaign by another similar patient advocacy organization to Aortic Hope. And the goal has 2 main buckets, one being to help educate medical professionals on the importance of thinking aorta, thinking about it right from the start, and helping to train the smaller regional hospitals to think about it sooner and refer the patients to the receiving hospitals. The other bucket is to empower the patients to start thinking about their medical history. Hence, hashtag Think Aorta, Think Family was born. If we start talking about the medical history that we have and what our parents or our grandparents have, we realize there's a genetic component to aortic disease. If we can share that information with our providers, maybe they'll realize it sooner too. So Think Aorta is very pre-active, and we've brought that campaign to the United States, and now it is its own nonprofit. And what we have found with Rock from the Heart is that they're very proactive. And they do their proactive work in such a unique, interesting way. They're able to pull people together for events like this and educate everybody and do it around music, which is so exciting. It's so wonderful. Everybody's happy when it comes to music, right? So when you have a pre-active, proactive, and reactive organizations coming together, that's community collaboration, and that's going to make a lot of changes in the world. Does anybody have any questions or anything? We'll save it for Q&A. Thank you so much. Thank you.